Welcome back to BFR. I'm going to do something a little different today. It's fun talking about bands and their entire catalogs and stuff like that, where we can kind of pick out the really good and the really bad. But what I did today was picked out 10 terrible albums by bands that I love, bands I respect. But any band with a lengthy career is going to have one, maybe 5, maybe 10 in the case of some of these bands, really bad albums that just do not fit with their sound. Nobody cared. They didn't sell well. A few of these maybe will be a surprise. Some won't be a surprise. Some you might not even know. But don't go check them out if you don't know them, because they're on this list for a reason. So here is my top 10 awful albums by bands I love. First one on the list, you can see this bad boy right here. Ozzy Osbourne's 1986 album, The Ultimate Sin. I'm not saying it's the ultimate sin in music, but it's a huge misstep. It's a huge misstep in his career. I mean, there are good songs on here. The Ultimate Sin itself is a pretty good song. Secret Loser I always kind of liked. But I mean, Thank God for the Bomb has got to be one of the worst songs that Ozzy ever recorded. And he has some real duds, especially on a couple of his later albums. But this is really where it fell apart for me. Killer Giants is kind of cool. Shot in the Dark is kind of cool for like a poppier song for the 80s. I don't like it. The album, actually, I like the album cover, even though people have given the album cover crap. This has never been remastered since whenever this was, like this remaster series in the 90s sometime. Even Ozzy said, no, don't remaster that, because no one's going to buy it, son, and it's not a good album. Forget it. It's over. This one may not come as a surprise whatsoever. Queensryche, Dedicated to Chaos. When did this come out? I don't know. Does it even matter? Like, does it really? 2011. Okay. This was the last dying gasp of a band that had been struggling for over a decade at this point. I mean, from where they came to where they went. And this is basically the Jeff Tate show at this point. None of the songs are, not one song on here is a memorable song. It's just terrible slow burn, poppy, weird. I mean, I think there's some horns on here. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And I remember when it came out, I said, wow, man, something in this band really has to change or it's over. And guess what? It changed pretty big when Todd La Torre joined, and all of a sudden Queensryche sounded like they were supposed to again. This, don't even go looking for it. Next to my list, let's see here. I'm going to do a metal one quick. I don't know if any of my watchers here are fans of the German metal power scene, but Edguy is one of the premier acts for a long time in the scene. They were very young when they started. Tobias Sammet, the lead singer and the kind of main songwriter and whatnot, he was, I mean, just for being as young as they were, they put out some of the most amazing power metal albums in the late 90s and early 2000s. This one here is from 2014. It's their last studio album so far. It's Defenders of the Crown. It's unlistenable. I'm sorry, it's unlistenably bad. There's nothing. Space Police is a terrible song. Love Tiger. Do I have to even say anything about the song? When it's called Love Tiger, you kind of know what to expect. And Tobias Sammet has always liked his jokes and his tongue-in-cheek kind of lyrics and stuff like that. But on here, it seems all he's doing is that. Because, he gives his best stuff to Avantasia, which will never have an album on this list. Avantasia is phenomenal power metal, almost a super group, because there's always other musicians coming on and doing their things. But this is terrible. Do Me Like a Caveman, an awful cover of Falco's Rock Me Amadeus. Forget it. And that might be the last we hear of them, who knows. I know they're on hiatus now, and maybe it's an okay thing. I'm going to quickly do another absolute mess of an album from one of again, one of the premier power metal acts of the last 20 years or so. This is just simply titled Stradivarius. It's a self-titled album. And self-titled albums usually show a change or a rebirth or something like that. I don't know what this was trying to show. Okay, number one, album cover sucks, boring. Could be a greatest hits, could be a demo tape. It could be anything. Awful. I'm trying to look at songs here and find something, but I really don't. I mean, Maniac Dances. Oh God, no. That's. Sorry, I wish I could say more about them, but they're literally just shit albums that you never need to hear. This next one's a little difficult for me because I love this band. British band Camel. Okay, has some great prog stuff out in the early 70s and mid 70s, and some cool stuff even toward the late 70s. There had more of a Canterbury sort of vibe going on. This one came out in '82, and yeah, it was a band seriously struggling. I'm not going to say the musicianship is bad on here, because it's really not. The songwriting is what lets this down. Andrew Latimer, he still sounds good, and he can still play a mean guitar, but the songs are all just shorter, maybe looking for a hit, maybe looking for some of that radio play that Camel never really got. I don't know. But it's instantly forgettable, and the title I think alludes to the fact that Andrew Latimer is the only remaining original member of the band at that time, or maybe it's because they were trying to write singles. The single factor, see what we did? Forget it. The albums before it and after it are all pretty great. This is crap. Don't bother. I'm gonna get some crap for this one, I think. Maybe. Deep Purple, Slaves and Masters, 1990. This is when Ian Gillan once more left the band after a 2-album kind of return there in the mid-'80s with Perfect Strangers and House of Blue Light. Joe Lynn Turner comes on for vocals here, and the production is horrendous. The songwriting is kind of horrendous. I mean, King of Dreams might be a decent tune. This is why I can't say a lot about them, because there's nothing memorable about these albums. Again, what came before this and what came after it were much better. This did not need to happen. I don't know what an early 90s cash grab. I don't know, but leave it alone. Forget it. Don't go after it. There were a few albums by this band that were in my list. I didn't quite know what era I wanted to go with, so I went with, yes, Magnification. I believe it's 2001. It's just a sloppy mess. It's not the Yes that you know. It's not the good progressive band that did Close to the Edge, or the good pop prog band that gave you 90125. It's this, and this was the swan song for John Anderson. They didn't do another album with John Anderson after this. It was tired. The band was tired, and you could tell on here. I think they were down to a 3-piece with like maybe a couple other session musicians or something. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't like it. This one made another one of my shows, and I didn't have it in front of me, but now I do. Brave New World. Styx, right? One of my favorite bands. 1999. I kind of dug the album cover when I first saw it, because I'm like, oh, this is kind of a return. Like, they're coming back, they're going to give us some of that art rock and that hard, heavy-hitting stuff. No, they didn't. No, most of the songs on here don't even sound like Styx. Other than the fact that you'll recognize their voices. I mean, Heavy Water's a pretty good rockin' tune on here. Goodbye to Roseland is cool. It's like a Dennis ballad. Everything is cool. Is a great song. Probably one of the only songs on the album that I consider mandatory. The rest of it, High Crimes and Misdemeanors, where Dennis DeYoung is kind of tapping into something like hip-hop vibe. Oh no. This album failed miserably. It deserved to fail miserably. And maybe a year later, Dennis DeYoung was gone, never to be seen again. The band is better in this current era without Dennis, I think. I'll leave that up to you. I'm not going to fight over Dennis DeYoung. Oh, another one by a band with a long history and a long studio album catalog. This, again, these bands that have like long 70s histories and have released a lot of great classic albums. And then something like this happens. Uriah Heep, Conquest, 1980. The lineup was all over the place. People are coming in, people are leaving, people are hating each other. Management is hating the band, and band's hating the management. I honestly can't name a song that I like on this. I can't, and I've tried because I love Uriah Heep. I cannot do it. I can't do it with this album. A few of the songs on here were done with their previous singer, John Lawton, and they show up as demo tracks and stuff, bonus stuff. They're better. They're better versions than what turned out on this album in 1980. And at this point, the band pretty much packed it up for a couple of years, had to regroup, get things going again, and get themselves out of this mind funk. Terrible album, absolutely terrible album. The last one I'm going to do today is one that, again, tried to love this because I'm a huge fan of the band. And I know there are people out there who absolutely love this album. And I don't understand why. 1982's Abacab by Genesis. The prog era Genesis is gone, okay? Steve Hackett's gone. Duke kind of showed you where their sound was going to go. But nothing could have prepared me in 1982 for them to take all the good stuff about Duke and leave it completely off the record and just go balls deep into this terrible 80s synthesized sounding, gated drums. It's awful. It's awful. I hate Abacab. I'm sorry. I hate it. I hate Dodo. I hate Who Done It. The only songs in there that have any hope of being even listenable, No Reply at All, Man on the Corner. Another record I think is kind of cool. They're ballady songs where the band doesn't have to sit and make you suffer through all this terrible synthesized garbage. I'm sorry. There's so much better stuff out there. This one almost tied with the final Genesis album without Phil Collins, which is called Calling All Stations. In 97, I believe that came out. That was also a cold bucket of piss. I might actually like it a little more than this, because at least I could pretend Calling All Stations is a completely different band, and not this band that I loved up to this point. It's going to be a quick video. As I said, they were just top 10 or 10 albums that I really despise by bands that I really love. And I'll probably do more of these in the future, because there are a ton of albums I hate by very popular bands. But I'm just going to try it out. So there it was. Not going to be a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. Put your list in the bottom, in the comments. Like, subscribe, do whatever you want. I'll be back with more of this. I have nothing better to do. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping in.